What's up, my friends, and welcome back to the Influence Exchange. Before we get into today's episode, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for pressing play, thank you for watching on YouTube, and thank you for listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and every platform where this show shows up. I'm your host, JV, and today we're talking about something most people avoid, even when it's slowly draining them, and that is hard conversations. We not yelling, not arguing, and no drama. I'm talking about the everyday conversations that sit in the back of your mind and follow you around. The conversations you keep replaying, like, I should have said something, I'm going to bring it up next time, it's not worth the fight, I will let it go. But deep down, you didn't let it go. You just put it away, and it keeps showing up in your mood, your energy, and your patience. Because this is what most people do. They stay quiet to keep the peace, and then they slowly lose their peace anyway. Maybe you can relate. Maybe it's at home. Someone's tone keeps bothering you. You feel unheard. You feel like you're the one always adjusting. And even at work, someone keeps crossing a line. They interrupt you. They assume too much. They keep putting things on you last minute. Or with family and friends, you love them, but something feels off. They keep taking and you keep giving. And you didn't want to sound mean, so you just stay silent. And the problem with silence is it doesn't make the issue disappear, it just makes the resentment grow. So, if you ever felt like you're carrying something you never said out loud, or you're frustrated but trying to be the bigger person, or you're tired of avoiding the talk, or you want to speak up without turning it into conflict, this episode is for you. Today, I'm going to make this simple and practical. In this episode, we're going to cover why avoiding the conversations usually make things worse, a simple way to say what you mean without sounding harsh, what to say in real situations, word for word, because the goal isn't to become confrontational, the goal is to become clear. And if you ever want to come on this show and share your story or talk through something you're dealing with, I would love to hear from you. Send me a DM on Instagram or TikTok at the Influence Exchange, or use the fan mail links in the episode description. All right, take a breath. If you've been avoiding a conversation, you're not alone. Let's make hard conversations easier. Now let's get into it. All right, my friends, let's start here, because this is the part nobody talks about. Most people don't avoid hard conversations because they're weak. They avoid them because they're trying to be too good. You don't want to hurt someone's feelings, but make things awkward, start a fight, get misunderstood, be seen as dramatic. So you tell yourself, I let it go. I deal with it later. It's not that serious. I don't feel like doing this right now. Here's the truth. Avoiding the conversations doesn't protect the relationship. It just protects the moment. And the moment gets protected, but the problem keeps living. Because what happens when you say it out loud, it doesn't go away, it goes underground. You stay quiet, but you start feeling it. You feel it when they text you, you feel it when they walk in the room, you feel it when they do the same thing again. You start getting shorter, less patient, less open, and you don't even mean to. That's what resentment looks like. It's not always anger, sometimes it's just distance. How about this? You start acting different instead of being honest. This is huge. Instead of saying, hey, that bothered me. You start doing things like replying slower, avoiding certain topics, pulling back emotionally, joking to cover discomfort, keeping things surface level so the other person thinks everything is fine, but you're quietly building a wall. And that's why people say, I don't know what happened. Because nothing happened in one big moment, it happened in 100 small moments you swallowed. Now, for the uncomfortable part, but be real. You train people through what you tolerate. What you didn't address become what you secretly accept. If someone repeatedly interrupts you or shows up late, speak to you with attitude, cross a boundary, or only reaches out when they need something, and you say nothing, they learn that is acceptable. Not because they malicious, but because you never clarified that it isn't. Let's talk about this. The hard conversations show up eventually, just louder. When you avoid it long enough, it doesn't disappear. It usually leaks out as a blow up over something small, coldness you can't explain, sarcasm, shutting down, or I'm fine when you're not fine. So instead of a calm conversation, it becomes a mess. Most people avoid hard conversations because they want peace, but avoidance creates the opposite. Here's the shift: choose discomfort now or carry resentment later. This mindset change helps. A hard conversation isn't drama, it's maintenance. It's how you keep relationships clean and prevent small issues from turning into big ones. Because silence might feel easier today, but it makes tomorrow heavier. So let me ask you this: what conversations have you been avoiding that's already impacting your mood? Because if it's impacting your mood, it's already impacting the relationship. In the next topic, I will share a simple way to say what you mean without sounding harsh, without over explaining, and without turning it into an argument. All right, my friends. Now we're getting into the part most people tend to overthink. Because most of us don't stay silent because we don't care. We stay silent because we don't know how to say it. You don't want to come across as rude, overly emotional, dramatic, aggressive, or like you're trying to start something, so you keep waiting for the perfect moment. And that moment never shows up. Here is the key idea for topic number 2. Hard conversations gets easier when you stop trying to sound perfect and start trying to sound clear. Lead with the goal, connection, not conflict. Before you speak, ask yourself, what do I want to happen after this conversation? Most of the time, the answer is, I want us to be good. I want this to stop. I want to feel respected. I want to start holding this in. When you anchor the conversation in that outcome, your tone shifts naturally because you're not attacking, you're addressing. The biggest misstep is coming in too strong. A lot of people open the conversation with, you always do this, you never listen, here we go again. Even if it's true, that approach puts the other person on the defensive immediately. Instead of leading with blame, lead with impact. Use the simple 3-part script: easy, practical, and repeatable. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can follow along in the captions. The scripts are: number 1, when blank happens, state the behavior. Number 2, it makes me feel blank, your experience. Number 3, what I need is blank, a clear request. Let me share a few examples. First, at home, when you answer me with that tone, I shut it down. What I need is a calmer conversation. When we're on our phones all night, I feel disconnected. Can we do 10 minutes with no phones? How about at work? When the things are sent last minute, it puts me in a tough spot. I need more notice moving forward. When I get interrupted, I lose my point. I need to finish my thought first. How about with friends and family? When jokes are made about me in front of people, it doesn't feel good. I need that to stop. When I'm always the one reaching out, it starts to feel one sided. Can we talk about that? This isn't being emotional, this is being an adult, clear and direct. Now, let's keep it short, because the longer you talk, the easier it is to dilute your message. Here's what most people miss: over explaining can make your boundary sound negotiable. Clear and calm is powerful. You don't need a speech, you need one firm sentence. Try saying, "I'm not okay with that. Please don't speak to me like that. I need a heads up next time. I'm not available for that. That's it." Think about this. What if your heart is pounding? Let's be real. Even calm people get nervous speaking up. Here is a simple tactic: speak slower than you feel. When you slow your pace, you stay in control. And if you need an opener, try this. This is a little uncomfortable for me, but I want to say it anyway. That line lowers the tension because it's honest. Defensiveness. What to do when they get defensive? Because it may happen. You say something calmly and they respond with, "I was just joking. You're too sensitive. That's not what I meant. You're making a big deal." Here's the move: acknowledge and repeat. "I understand you didn't mean it. I'm still not okay with it. I hear you. I'm still asking you not to do that." That may not be your intention, but it is the impact. You don't need to debate your intention. You just hold your standards. The key mindset shift. This changes everything. You're not starting drama, you're stopping the slow damage that silence creates. Hard conversations don't ruin relationships, avoiding them does. So here's your challenge for this week: choose one conversation you've been avoiding. Write one sentence using the three-part script, then practice saying it out loud. Not to be perfect, just to be prepared. And in the next topic, we'll talk about what to do when people push back and how to hold your line without becoming someone you're not. All right, my friends, this is the part where most people start to panic, because it's one thing to finally say what you need to say, and it's another thing to say it and then deal with the same reaction. They get defensive, they get annoyed, they twist your words, they act like you're the problem, and that's exactly why so many people avoid hard conversations in the first place. It's not the conversation they fear, it's the reaction. So, in this topic, I want to make this practical and realistic, because the goal isn't to win, the goal is to stay calm, stay clear, and still protect yourself. Expect pushback. It doesn't mean you did it wrong. A lot of people assume if they get defensive, I must have said something wrong. That's not true. People get defensive because they feel called out, they feel embarrassed, they don't like being corrected, they're not used to you speaking up, they benefit from the old version of you. So hear this clearly: their reaction doesn't mean you're wrong, it means the conversation is real. Let's move to the 4 most common defensive reactions. Reaction number 1: you're overreacting. This is the make you doubt yourself response. What to say: "I hear you, I'm still not okay with it. This matters to me and I'm asking for a change." You don't have to justify your feelings to have a boundary. Reaction number 2: "I was just joking." This is the minimize response. What to say: I understand it was a joke. It still didn't land well with me. Please don't joke like that with me. Intent doesn't erase impact. Reason number 3. So now I can say anything around you. This is the dramatic leap response. What to say? That's not what I'm saying. I'm not asking you to walk on eggshells. I'm asking for respect. Stay grounded. Don't get pulled into the exaggeration. Reaction number 4. Silence or shutting down. This one can trigger you to chase them, but you don't. What to say? I can tell this is uncomfortable. We can pause and revisit it when you're ready. I'm not trying to fight, I'm just being honest. You can give space without backing down. Whoa. Whoa. Man. These 4 reaction has me hot because I've been through all this. If you watch it on YouTube, you can tell I'm nervous. Like, just dealing with this. It's bringing memories and but you know what, guys? We need to move on because this is real. Okay. Let me get back. Okay. The rule that protects you. Don't match their emotion, match your message. This is where people lose the plot. They get loud, you get loud. They get cold, you get cold. They get sarcastic, you start defending. And now it's chaos. Instead, stay in your tone, stay in your point, stay in your standard. Calm isn't weakness, calm is control. Use the broken record method. Simple but powerful. If they debate, deflect, or keep circling, repeat your point calmly. A few examples. I'm still asking you not to speak to me like that. I understand I still need more notice next time. I hear you. I'm still not okay with that joke. No speeches, no back and forth, just clear, consistent messaging. Respect grows when your standard stays steady. Now let me give you a personal note, because I've been there too. I've avoided conversation because I didn't want to deal with someone being upset. So I stayed quiet and acted like I was fine. But I carried it. Then it came out later as being short, being distant, getting irritated over small things, shutting down completely, and I realized avoiding the conversation didn't make me peaceful, it made me heavy. When I started speaking up calmly, some people didn't love it, but I stopped abandoning myself. That's the trade. You either keep the peace with them or you keep the peace with you. Let's now talk about a clean exit plan if it starts going sideways. Sometimes it's not productive in that moment. Instead of arguing, use a professional exit. I'm not continuing this if we're getting heated. Let's pause and come back when we're calm. I'm not trying to fight, I'm stepping away. That's not avoidance, that's emotional discipline. The key takeaways for all of this: hard conversations don't require perfect wording, they require steady energy. You can be respectful and still be direct. You can be calm and still hold your point. You can care about someone and still protect yourself. All right, my friends, before we close, I want to leave you with something simple, real, and easy to remember. Hard conversations are not about being harsh. They're about being honest, because here's the truth. A lot of us stay silent because we think silence is kind. But silence isn't always kind. Sometimes silence is what keeps the disrespect going, the resentment building, the relationship feeling heavy, and your peace slowly draining. And I want you to hear this clearly. Clarity is kind because clarity gives people a chance to do better, and silence doesn't. If you take one thing from this episode, take this. You don't need to become confrontational. You don't need to turn cold. You don't need the perfect words. You just need to stop carrying things that were meant to be communicated. Because when you hold it long enough, it shows up anyway. It shows up in your tone, your patience, your distance, your energy, and then you start saying, I'm fine, but you're not fine. A simple recap you can use in real life. When you're facing a hard conversation, remember, say it early while it's still small. Say it calmly while you still respect them. Say it clearly so it doesn't become a blow up later. And if the conversation gets uncomfortable, that's okay. Discomfort is not danger, it's growth. Okay, let me be personal for a second. I'm not talking to you like I have this mastered. No way. I'm still learning. I've made a lot of mistakes. I've avoided conversations I should have had sooner. I've held things in and then said it the wrong way later. I stayed quiet to keep the peace and ended up losing my peace anyway. And that's one of the reasons this podcast means so much to me. This podcast is therapy for me in a way. It's me working through real life out loud. It's me taking the lessons I'm still learning and turning them into something useful. So if you're listening and you're thinking, yeah, I struggle with this too, I want you to know you're not alone. Here's your simple challenge this week. Don't overcomplicate it. Pick one conversation you've been avoiding. Write one clear sentence. Say it with a calm voice. And if needed, repeat it. That's it. Because every time you speak up with respect, you build something important, self-trust. And self-trust changes how you show up everywhere. Before I go, I just want to say thank you again. Thank you for pressing play. Thank you for watching on YouTube. Thank you for listening on the Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere else this show reaches you. If this episode helped you, share it with someone who needs it. And if you ever want to come on this show and share your story, you can reach me by sending me a DM on Instagram or TikTok at The Influence Exchange, or use the fan mail links in the episode description. Subscribe, leave a review, and remember, your influence grows every time you choose courage over comfort. I'm JV. Stay curious, stay consistent, and keep influencing others.